Hi YouTube, it's Leah Lauder and I'm live again. I'm exposing mega church cults and I'm on live on Instagram and I'm live on TikTok. I feel like I'm going to sneeze. Bless me. I'm live on Instagram and I'm live on TikTok and I'm exposing church cults today. I've just got to keep it real with you on YouTube. I'm very depressed today. This is a difficult day for me. But I'm committed to coming on and I feel like a lot of people, I feel like a lot of people, I don't even know what to say, guys. I'm going to go live on, they've made my live visibility. Hey, Instagram, it's Leah Lauder, your favorite mega church cult survivor. And I'm live on TikTok and I'm live on YouTube. And I'm here exposing church cults as per usual. I'm going to ask people, I'm actually going to restart this live on TikTok. Sorry, guys, I'm trying to do a million things at once. Because they're really trying to get me off the net. They're trying to get me off TikTok. Because I've been able to have quite a big reach today. But anyway, let me get into it. As you know, I spent 18 years in a mega church cult. And do you know what, guys? I'm just going to put a top on because I've got a feeling that they're reporting me for probably nudity and exposure. So I'm just going to put on my little girl's top, which fully covers me. But you know I'm SEXY chair. So I can put on my little girl's top and I can still look peng because I'm beautiful. So let's get into it because I don't think they'll be able to report it now. All right, so I spent 18 years in a mega church cult and now I'm online and I'm sharing my experiences. No, I can't do that. I'm sharing my experiences online and exposing the church cults as I do. And I've been speaking about a lot of topics, but I really want to speak about the essay and grape. Hey, I really want to speak about the essay and grape that happens in these spaces. A lot of women and mental health. Because a lot of women are demonized in these groups. There's misogynistic, patriarchal rhetoric in there. And this is what I think is really waking up the women. And I think if I could do some research, guys, I know I look a mess, but I've got on YouTube, I look all right. But this angle, do you know what? This angle is not giving chair. It's going to have to be like this because I don't know what's going on. Let me fix the set. Okay. I've had to just quickly put on a top, throw it on because they've been reporting me for exposure and not wearing clothes. So I've had to put this on quickly. So what I was saying is that a lot of these spaces exasperate mental health. And this live's going to be all over the place because I'm currently going through a mental health crisis. I feel very depressed today. And this is the after effects of leaving the church cult. I live with a plethora of mental health illnesses. I've been diagnosed with CPTSD. I've been diagnosed. Ines, are you on here? Can you go on? Are you on TikTok, my love? I've been diagnosed with CPTSD, BPD, which is borderline personality disorder. I live with 3 chronic illnesses, chronic kidney disease, hyperadrenalism, and Addison's. And I had a crisis at the beginning of this year. So this is all autoimmune diseases, and it has been brought on as a result of the trauma. And I have the professional paperwork to show that that's what's happened. I want to also let people know that are survivors, and also for you lot coming on and reporting me to get me off the internet. If you have like low energy, you're lethargic, you feel faint a lot of the time, in these spaces, it really affects your adrenals. Okay. And we're not going to block people for sharing anymore because they can report without sharing. I've clocked. It affects your adrenals and your adrenals. I think they produce cortisol. And when your body's producing so much cortisol because of the stress, because you're in fight or flight mode all the time, you're in fight or flight mode all the time, and you're experiencing a lot of narcissistic abuse, a lot of gaslighting, a lot of psychological manipulation. So the brain becomes very confused, and through the indoctrination, because they're not indoctrinating, they're not preaching, they're indoctrinating. Hey, Mrs. Lux, let me see if I can add you as a mod. I've added you as a mod, yeah, because they're active today, girl. There's a lot going on energetically, guys, because the movement is creating impact. There's a lot of people who have been leaving and they're feeling the impact. They're starting to feel the impact of the recruitment, because even if these churches are full, yeah, or they're somewhat full, compared to what they would have been able to do now in this climate, they would have had a lot more of a bigger reach. And it's not only about the reach, but it's the money. People actually just don't have money to give at the moment. But on top of it, anyone that comes into contact with my content, once you hear these things, you can't unhear them. So I do think that no matter how much, people are, getting online and defending the cult and doing this and doing that, they ain't giving like they used to give. And what's happened is they've had to loose their reins a bit because there's so much exposure. They've had to kind of change up the way that they do things and their false doctrine and how they're teaching, and they're having to give people a little bit more freedoms. And in doing that, people are going to be spending their money on other things as well. So it's a really difficult time for them. And strategy wise, because all they know how to do is rule through fear and control and psychological tactics. So as I'm exposing the tactics and the psychology that they're using in these settings, it's making it so difficult. Please like the live on TikTok. It's making it so difficult for them to recruit. Very difficult to recruit. And you got to remember, these are businesses. These are businesses. So all they care about is, making money, and the narcissist being fed with the ego and the supply that he needs. And I'm going to talk about Toby Adebuyega as an example for this. Someone on YouTube said, do you still believe in God? Hey, CB, do you still believe in God, though, in your own way, not from the church way? He is with you. Yeah. Hey, my love. I don't usually answer questions, and I do usually block people. And as I'm actively in a state of mental health crisis right now, I'm just, what I'm going to say to you is that it's personal. Yeah. But the fact that you asked that question, it makes me want to ask the question back to you. Do you believe in God? Because anyone that believes in God and knows God and has a personal relationship with God knows that what I'm doing right now is I'm actually living out Isaiah 61. Yeah, which is giving a voice to the voiceless, my love. The Spirit of the Lord is upon me. All right. So, what I'm going to suggest is that you guys focus on your own salvation with fear and trembling. All right. Because the issue at the moment is everybody's focused on everybody's mamas, cousins, aunties, and uncles rather than their own salvation. Yeah. Because they're outreaching and thinking that they can do something when they can't, because it's just all recruitment and lies and deception. So what I'm going to say, my love, is instead of asking me questions about my personal relationship with God, which is so strong, I'm going to have to call back because I can't even answer that call, which is so strong that, it's resulted in me taking on the whole mega church and not being afraid or fearing anyone, being one up as a little woman like myself, so slim with my frame. So, if I'm not even going to get into it, because if at this point you can't see that what I'm doing takes a lot of faith, and it's just like Christ, then I don't know what to tell you. I keep having nightmares about the cult, All right, let's get into it, babe, because I did want to speak. Hey, on Instagram, I did want to talk a little bit about the subconscious. You see, with these nightmares and these reoccurring, of course, guys, from a medical lens, we're all going to have CPTSD, and we're all going to have some sort of PTSD or CPTSD. So the best way for this to be worked through is therapy. And we can, access this free therapy through the NHS, but you know how it is. It takes years. It takes a long time. But what I will say about the dreams, because quite a lot of people have been saying this, and I was speaking to a survivor that was exposing NGRM, and this survivor didn't really want much of the details to be exposed because of the fear that these people could do something spiritually because they see them as dabbling in juju. But anyway, I was watching a really good piece of content on TikTok about dreams and what happens in our dreams and the subconscious. And a lot of it is just, it's directly connected to the indoctrination, which is deep within our psyche, but also the trauma, because the theorist was saying that the trauma that we experience can also seep through into our dreams. And I think that at the moment there's a lot going on, you know, there's a lot of exposure, and, you know, someone like yourself that's exposing them, my love, as well, you know, and I don't want to sound insensitive, guys. It's just my energy levels are so low today, and I feel really angry. I feel angered today that they took everything that they took from me, man. I feel angry in the path that it took me after I left, and the things that I was exposed to because I'm naive. The women in there are indoctrinated to be so naive. It's like they don't have a brain. It's like they have no cognitive thinking of their own. They are walking around like actual robots. Like, it's so sad what they do to the women. Like, you are stripped of every single right. And when you leave there, if you're like married and you go through a divorce, or you're single, or a situation like that, it just makes you absolute bait for narcissists and preds, like abuse men and people in general, because you're not, you see this that saying, where you're like a lamb amongst a pack of wolves. Yeah, that's not only like the church, these church cults are worse than the world. Because even in the world, people make their intentions known more, and you can see people coming. Like, people in the world display, like, they'll display more emotions. So if somebody gets angry, because they're not brainwashed, so they're still like showing emotions, and you know what I mean. So like, the reason why these high control religious RADICAL groups are so dangerous is because when it's like they're smiling, but they're unaliving you with a smile. You know, in the Bible, it talks about them breathing out violence. That's what they're like. It's like they can just they just come in and they're just speaking, but the intent is so WICKED in there. No one really wishes anyone well. There's some people, I'm not saying everyone's like this, but majority. There are some people who are pure-hearted, because of course, like, we've left, duh. So there are some pure-hearted people, but majority of the people in there, they're in there for what they can get, because the pastor's in there for what he can get, don't you see? So it's like you know, like when you're looking for a partner and whatever, like what you put out there, like energetically, like you will attract. So it's the same with these church cults, like it just attracts like really like foul people, like people who are like out for themselves, like money hungry, like business, like, you know, like toxic masculine type of guys. Like these are the kind of guys, like, and especially guys who love themselves. Like, you find all them lighties in there, do you know what I mean? That just love that they just want to be worshipped. Most, you know, for me, I just couldn't do a man that's into like religion, like a pastor, or because for me it just gives like, you just love yourself, because it's just so patriarchal and misogynistic. It's just all about male worship, yeah. That's what it's about. So for me, it just gives that. You've got to have a lot of, like, to be like a religious leader, you've got to have a lot of underlying unresolved trauma, stuff that you're running from. I just wouldn't want to get myself involved in that. Not even a lifetime could solve, you know, the trauma and the misogynistic and patriarchal rhetoric that they absolutely spew out. And all they know how to do is word salad. It's just words. It's just words to keep people. And because majority of the women that are in there are in abusive marriages, these type of settings are actually comforting, because these settings will never empower a woman to leave a marriage that's ABUSE. Do you know what I mean? These environments actually canoodle and appease the wounds of single married women. And actually, majority of the time, they don't speak in the house. They're living like completely separate lives. And then the church is their time to come with the kids. They'll wear matching, ashrabi, and they'll come in and, just fake it. It's just everyone in there's just faking it till they make it. But it's like they get to come in this self-sealing system and live a lie. They're just all in there living a lie, child. Living an imaginary life that their cult leaders created. So they're trapped in a self-sealing system now, and they can't get out because they're codependent on the environment. They've let absolutely everything go. All of their friendships. They barely speak to their family because they're so engrossed in the church cult. They believe that they are on a mission to save the world through Jesus Christ, and they've got to go into the nations and they've got to preach the lost at any cost. And it is so sad. They indoctrinate them to believe this, chair. They really believe they're out there like building this church for Christ. They really believe it. And these guys are preaching to them, and they're telling them, build your treasures in heaven, not here on earth, to us. Because when it comes to us doing something, when there's an exchange, it has to be monetary. It has to be us physically being there, physically lifting up the chairs and physically setting up the church. When it comes to them giving us something back, it's let me pray for you. It's invisible prayers. It's a free 99 bottle from Lidl, bottle of oil that they're going to anoint us with these great anointings and, powers from the pastor. So when it comes to the pastors giving us something, it's invisible blessings, things that we can't touch, feel. It's not tangible. You might get a hug in it, like a little sideway hug, but if the pastor's a prayer, he'll be really pressing himself on you, chair. Or he'll give you the elongated handshake. I come from a Ghanaian fundamentalist Christian cult. So they do this thing where they shake your hand and it's like long and they gaze into your eyes. I didn't know, innit? Because I was just used to dealing with GMs, man, just guys from the streets. I didn't understand what these nerds were doing up. I didn't know that was their way of trying to move to a gal. You know what I'm saying? Like, how did I know that? How did I know that outside in these streets? So the cultural barrier made me miss a lot of stuff as well. Oh, it was just mad, man. When I joined my cult, it was just first gen Ghanaians, uncles and aunties, and I had to learn some tree chair. I could understand it at a point. And it got to the point where my pastors used to ask me to leave the office because I could understand certain things. I was beginning to get it, like laugh at some of the things they were talking about. And this is so deep, man. This top is triggering the hell out of me, but I had to throw it on because I realized that they're reporting me because I've got on this little top. But it's making me feel like I'm in the church again, like a single married wife. Because something like this would be uniform that we would wear for the choir. Like they have these like unalived uniforms, yeah. And like in my church cult anyway. I mean, Carish just looks like they're in airport, like they're air stewardesses. They're getting ready to come fly with me, come fly, let's fly away. But I think my hair is giving Carish. Because they love this little bun, these little bun do's and wearing headbands. That's how you can spot a Charis person and makeup, cake face of makeup. But they would say like stripes, polka dots, for choir. So this top is triggering me as hell, chair. But I think today I'm going to talk a little bit about my thoughts and feelings because I'm just feeling so numb. Sometimes I just get so sad and I just think, why? Like, why do these places exist? Why is there so much EVIL? Why the church? Why the place that's supposed to be the refuge? Why lie about Christ? Why manipulate the scriptures to get people to do what you want? Why do that? Why ruin people's lives? Why do this? Why do you make young people believe that they've got these spiritual fathers and spiritual mothers in the church cult, when they've got mums and fathers who love them. On days like this, my heart absolutely breaks. Just knowing that I just gave my life. And the truth is, guys, I thought I was going to be there forever. I had all my hopes and dreams and everything was in this place. And I gave it my heart and soul. I gave it everything. For what? For this? To find out all of this years later, for my life to be destroyed, and I did everything right. I followed everything. I didn't want to live in sin. I married this man I didn't know. I didn't want to disappoint them. I didn't want to let them down. I wanted to be a good spiritual daughter. I wanted to be loved. I wanted a dad. I wanted a dad to love me. I wanted a man to love me. I just lost my boyfriend and I was going through the most traumatic experience every day. And I was broken. And I was vulnerable. And I'd lost my mind. I gave the best of myself. And the kind of person I am, when I love hard. Whether that's in friendships, relationships, romantic dynamics. Oh, Zay, thank you so much. I really, really needed that word. I really, really needed that word. I really, really needed to see that. Can someone pin that? The Lord is close to the brokenhearted. God bless you. Thanks, Bev. That's really comforted my soul. You know, I have nothing to prove. My life, everything I live with, every diagnosis, every chronic ache and pain that I feel, every time I have a breakdown because of the plethora of mental health and disabilities that I have, I am living proof that these places are dangerous. And please, I'm begging anyone that comes across this content, thank you, Connie. Please stay away from these spaces, especially Caris, RPF, First Love, Mustard Seed, Pleasant Surprises, any ministries under Dag Heward Mills, RPF, NGRM, Faith and Victory, Potter's House, UCKG. There's a trend happening at the moment. I've got my tissue's down there, thank God. Instagram, you're probably going to see a bit of my hairs. It's not a bad view though, is it? Really needed to release that. Thanks for holding the space, guys. This is me, man. my life, guys. They've absolutely destroyed my life. They took everything away from me. My joy, the things that money can't buy. My joy, my personality, my identity, my creativity, my gift, my talent, my money, my worth, my free will. My ability to make decisions on my own. My freedom. They took my freedom. They took my freedom. They made me a prisoner. And they controlled everything I did. You're on like a million WhatsApp groups when you're in these church cults. They put you on a million WhatsApp groups. So it's done like really subtly. But before you know it, it's like it just takes over your life, and you're on all of these groups, and there's all these different demands that are coming from these groups. And it's just instructions and things that you need to do every single time. You're pulled and stretched from like every angle. And if you're really gifted in these environments, that they will rinse you dry. Like it's never enough. Like nothing you do is ever enough. And they put so much pressure on you, and the pressure is like from the beginning. It's from when they recruit you. There's so much pressure to attend the meetings, to be at the church cult. There's like no time to think. And then if you're going through like a mental health crisis, or you're coming out of trauma, you might be going through a breakup. Like, do you know how hard a breakup is? Do you know how hard it is when you lose the person that you are in love with? Do you know how hard it is? It's so hard. There's women that actually lose their mind going through this. And then they just like take advantage, and they just start indoctrinating them. And women are so vulnerable. And the pastors are preds in there. Like, they're so unhappy in their marriages that they get like the supply that they need through like the women in the church cult. Look absolutely terrible. They get the supply that they need from the women in the church cult. So they might not be like in an actual relationship with the women, but it's like it is a relationship, because they control. Instagram, I got to put you down here because I look a mess. They control absolutely everything that you do in there, like who you can date, who you marry, what job you do, who you talk to in the church cult. You know what I mean? Like, my pastor was saying no to people. I pray God heals your broken heart. A great testimony is coming your way. Don't let your faith unalive, sis. Thank you, darling. I appreciate you. I don't think faith is something that they can take away once you find it, you know. This is another thing I'm learning about faith. It's like a grace. It's a grace that's freely given to you, like when you actually are operating, you know, you have that consciousness of Christ. It's not something that can be given or taken away. Faith is it's like the air you breathe. It's a that's why it says the substance of things hoped for. Faith is a substance that we breathe, that we need to stay alive. Do you know what I mean? Like your mental health, yes, it is within. It is the life source within, the substance of the life source within, that allows us to breathe, to live mentally, to have peace, to be able to ground, to be able to live another day. That's why when people lose faith, when they lose heart, that's when they will just say, I've had enough, that's it, I can't do it anymore. And faith means different things to different people. Do you know what I mean? Some people, they call it different things in different, you know, spiritual belief systems and religions. But overall, it's the same psychological, you know, concept when we look at the psyche and how the brain works. Do you know what I mean? Like, that's why, you know, like, I really do love neuroscience. Like, thank God for the neuroscientists. You know what I mean? Like, thank God, because we'd just still be in this mess. Do you know what I mean? Like believing that the world's flat and, you know, whatever they're doing up, whatever the streets are paved with gold. You know, it's just a lot of human fecal matter. I also want to talk about the FRAUD. Just the teeth in. They're just teeths in there. So everything costs money. It's like in these churches, I say that they're like pay as you go. And so, guys, if you come to a church cult and you see a cash machine attached to the church cult, run. If you come inside and you see account details getting put up on the screen, run. And I know all of them do it, but Minakir, because I don't know why they're mixing money with the things of God. And then also, but do you know what? Let me take back the account detail one, because some people might want to sow a seed and they need to know where to sow the money. All right. So I'll take back the account detail one for the sake of, you know, because I've got to be fair. And I can't, you know, again, guys, take what resonates and leave what doesn't. Because for me, if I see account details, that's too triggering. I can't stay. Do you know what I'm saying? I'd rather come up to you and be like, do you know what? I would like to give something to the church. How do I do that? I just think that's a lot more of a, I think that's more classy. You know, I think that's more cutesy. You get it? Like, I think it's more demure. They're not demure in there. They're ghetto. They're getting out the card reader machine, getting people to be tapping on card reader machines like we're in a frigging club on a table buying bottles. Do you know what I mean? Like, that's what it's giving. It's giving frigging LA Lounge. These church cults are giving LA Lounge, and, you know, like them cheap clubs in East London. Ladies, please don't go to these cheap clubs. But if you're a sprinkle girl and you're just looking to finesse the man them, especially the single married men, that's where they all are. If you want, you know, like you just want to make money, and, you know, you're not on, you know, meeting the love of your life, and you know what you're doing up in these streets, then LA Lounge is a very good spot. Do you know what I mean? But just make sure that you don't put your drink down. That's all I'm gonna say. Yeah, I felt that before. It's like they're pressuring you to donate. There's a lot of pressure there's pressure for everything. And that is one of the key signs that you know that it's like a high control environment, because it shouldn't feel like pressure. It shouldn't feel like there's a pressure on you to attend, to be at the church on Sunday, to be like, the Holy Spirit is not forceful, innit? The Holy Spirit is not forceful. So that's why I don't even understand how Daggy with most people believe in that anakazo doctrine. Because it means to be forceful, this, that, and the third. And the Holy Spirit's not forceful. And it's supposed to be the Holy Spirit that gives that person the conviction. They have to be convicted by the Holy Spirit for them to get that revelation. Do you understand what I'm saying? If we're going with the correct sound doctrinal script. But I don't even know if this is sound doctrine, because a lot of this is from the mega church. But I know that I can use it against them to make them look like FOOLSs. That's all I know, chair. So in the mega church world, this is game. This is knowledge, chair. Are you having a laugh? They teach so much human fecal matter in there. Guys, if I was to start teaching you lot sound doctrine, I'd lose you. I'd lose like majority of you, because it's a completely different religion, chair. You know, the sound doctrinals. Yeah, I felt that before. It's like they're pressuring you to donate. You've already said that. Like especially the trolls. The trolls are gonna be like, what is she doing? What is she doing? It's called sound doctrine, my love. These are the theologians, the ones that actually go to, you know, these universities and study. Do you know what I mean? So it's like Oxford and Cambridge, that level of education, and they're doing up theology in there. But do you know what my cult leader used to do? Do you know what they do to dupe people into thinking? I'll tell you what they do. My cult leader used to say that the theologians and all of that, the theology that they teach in there, it's not even spiritual. It's like based off the law of the land, because these are institutions that man has set up. So it's not like they're not like anointed, called prophets of God. They were saying anyone can go to Cambridge and study theology. This is what they do. Do you see the indoctrination? Do you see where preaching changes into? Because that's not preaching. That's Dag's perspective. And he knows everyone in there is worshiping him. He knows he hasn't been to any type of theological training, seminary, anything. He knows he ain't done that up. So now what he's going to do is demonize people that do. So that's information control. So now we're not going to go and be doing up sound doctrinal or doing up, you know, theology. We're going to believe that this man is the chosen one. He's got all of this anointed. He's even got a book on the basic theology. Is it called basic? Is there any? It's like it's a thick book, yeah, and it's just his theology that he's made up. He's just conjured up from thin air. Yeah. It's the most outrageous thing you'll ever read, and I'm going to do some exposés on the doctrine, but it's so heavy. It's such dark. There's a lot of spell work that's in these books. So I'm going to be having to do a lot of cleansing. I'm going to have to make sure that I'm mentally like stable to dive into the doctrine, because it's very dark. It's very satanic, the doctrine. A lot of the doctrine, it's just not from God. Do you know what I'm saying? But so they dabble in other powers and deities and entities. And we all know that Jesus is the Roman God. Yeah. It's the one where they amalgamized all of the paganism and the occult rituals that were, because paganism was rife, in Europe, and the Roman Empire is in Europe. Let's remember that. All right. So what they did up basically was they created this, I don't want to take it this far, guys, but it's a religion. Christ is all about spirituality. Christ is all about spirituality. But because everything's external and they take the Bible literally, that's why Jesus spoke in parables. Do you understand? Because you've got to go within. You've got to be at that consciousness to understand it. But because these pastors it's not been revealed through the Holy Spirit. Do you understand? It's been revealed through other means. Because remember, I said there's a lot of different mixtures of things. They mix a bit of science with metaphysics. And then there's like spiritual, cultural practices. There's a lot of, and I've spoken about the history. There's a Freemason. I think was it Charles Pullman? There was a Freemason that converted to Christianity. But I just wonder, we didn't have the neuroscience, the understanding of the psyche, etc. back then, in the 1900s. So I just wonder how that man healed. Do you know what I'm saying? Because then he came to kind of be like really pivotal in, building what we see today. And there are a lot of similarities with these secret societies and the rituals and the things that they do up. You know what I mean? And I think the Pope unaliving was another way that we got to see a lot of these kind of like spiritual dark practices that are absolutely undeniable. It's all in front of us. And I think that there's, a great awakening that's happening at the moment and it's not even about, if you notice the people that are out at the moment and speaking about spirituality and religion and trying to like spread awareness and things like that, do you notice that they come with no agenda? Like we're not trying to sell you anything. We're not trying to make you, follow any type of religion or buy anything. It's mainly just about people being able to have that freedom in exploring their spirituality, what God looks like and means like for them at an individual level. Thanks for the follow, babe, because it is individualistic. There is a DNA makeup in all of us that is completely different physically. And there is also a spiritual DNA that we have. And so do you see that what I'm doing is talking? Now, with that spiritual DNA reference, if I then started to say, that's why through your spiritual DNA, we can see that you can build churches, because we know that I know what I am pouring into you has had an effect. You have got the anointing on the woman of God. So the oil drips from Aaron's bed. And I can see that what I have put into you, there is now an outcome. Do you see what I'm talking about, guys? You have to find out what that looks like and what that means for you. But what they do is they come and they use because the Bible is very mystical. There's a lot of things that you have to unpack and unlock. And that's why Jesus said things like seek and you shall find, knock. And he wasn't speaking a language that we understood. Come on, guys, let's just keep it real, man. It's not easy to understand even the canon Bible, the books that they chose to put in there. The Apocrypha, it goes even deeper. The Apocrypha is like another level. It's like, what is going on? Yeah. So they don't understand what Christ is trying to say, because the Machiavellian leaders got together because they had to damage control, because Jesus was starting a movement and he was emancipating the women. He was breaking the laws according to them, the laws of the land. They were Pharisees and Sadducees, EVIL people. It's like what's going on now. It's the pastors that we've got right now, that they're no different. They just care about money. Do you know what I mean? Like how things look. Thanks, Ange. That's all it was. Then the kings and that, they decided to get around a round table and decide what books would go in there to fit their rhetoric. So the reason why we have the holidays like Christmas on the 25th, that originates from the Festival of Lights. It's a pagan holiday. That's why we have an unalived Christmas tree and the presents. All right. And also Easter, that was goddess worship. They used to worship fertility, and that's where the eggs come from and all of that. All right. And spring, going into the equinox, if I believe. I don't know if my memory serves me correctly. And again, I'm not demonizing this, but I'm saying they amalgamated it because people were still like doing up pagan worship. So they said, oh, let's just put it all into one big mix that everybody can follow. And that's what they did up. All right. That's just the truth. All right. When you go and look at it, it's factual. It's out there. Everybody knows it. So what you have to do is deconstruct and find your truth within it, what resonates. And the beauty about Christ, take what resonates, leave what doesn't, because some people are agnostic and some people don't believe in this, and that's absolutely fine. But if Christ is still resonating with you, you've got to just strip it all back, take it to a very individual personal level. And actually, it's the things that you go through that help you to understand more of the scriptures. And the more you walk with God alone, so away from religion, the further you come from, because the whole point of religion, they want to disconnect you. Imagine if there's a power source like a plug, and that's your channel, like that's what connects you to God. They want to disconnect that plug, that they want to disconnect you from the source, so that it's now you're having to go through this man, and then it redirects you on another path, and then you're on another timeline. And then it's like destiny swapping. And so people who are meant to change the world, guys, imagine if I was still in there. What a waste. What a waste. What would I have been doing? Running around the pastor, going and getting her bags from Zara and singing in the church, a couple of hundred people. I've reached millions of people since I started doing this. It's crazy. Only recently came across you. Genuine question. What exactly is your faith? Yeah, so Danny, we don't do that up here, unfortunately. Yeah. And I don't feel like I need to answer anyone questions about my personal relationship. I'll share what I choose to share. So I think we all need to go back to this individualized lens, and whether that's about higher self, whether that's science, whether that's about mindfulness, mind, body, soul, whether that's through your ancestors, the love for your family, whatever it is, whatever your belief system is. It's so important that you come back to that connection with self, because you lose that connection with self, you're a robot. You need to focus, and I think, which is really good, that's universal, is like the mindfulness, the breath work, the meditation, the grounding. And do you know, guys, that this mindfulness has even come into workspaces now, because they've recognized that with stress and the mental health crisis, and just everything that's going on, people have had to look at more holistic ways, had to look at mindfulness like their lives depended on it. And during the pandemic, that's when people kind of opened themselves up to it. Christians were losing their mind. The pastors were exasperating the fear that was going on during the pandemic. They used it as a way to absolutely financially exploit us and rinse us dry. If you think back to the pandemic, people that weren't even usually given an offering were just living in absolute fear. People were losing their minds. A lot of people were logging onto these online services. And what we saw in 2022 was there were people that got recruited during that time, but there was a lot of people who left. All right. So there was a lot of exploitation through the vehicle of the internet. And we've seen that a lot more church cults, they're using the internet now as a vehicle. Do you know what I mean? To get more money and to get their message out there multiple times. So, I'm a big believer in having a really good internet with really good relationship with technology, and using it to my advantage to be able to be at many places at the same time, because it's multi-dimensional. So I'm, on TikTok, I'm on YouTube, and I'm on Instagram, and technology allows us to do that. So they demonize technology, you know what I'm saying? Because the only one who wants to understand the law of multiplicity is the cult leader, because there's a law of multiplicity. You see, like what I'm doing now, this is the law of multiplicity. So it's like that ideology of like bearing more fruit, or, having more of an outreach, or having more of a reach, sorry. But yeah, being able to multiply, but doing less is what I'm saying, making sense. But that's just the law of the universe that you will find. As you seek, you shall find, and the truth shall set you free. And that's why, even guys, when I come on, and thanks for the follow, babe, on Instagram, I appreciate you. Even when I have my worst days, I'm just like, I'm free. I'm free. And that always tends to keep me going. And I have this space, I have this community. You know, you guys hold the space for me. You know, I can come on and I can speak my truth, and, you know, I have the space to do so. And this feels like a therapeutic space, guys. It feels like, you know, a safe space. Sometimes I say a bit too much because I forget that I'm online with all these people. But I think it's a part of Leah. It's a part of who I am. It's my authenticity. You know, I can't help but be myself, because when you're in these environments, they absolutely strip you of every part of you until you become nothing. And you know, when you hear people saying when they come out of these church cults, I was a shell of myself. Really what they're talking about is you just being stripped of every part of you. It starts with not having hobbies. You know, you get taken out of like your feminine energy. So women aren't thinking in a feminine way. They're just thinking, I need to save souls. I need to win the lost at any cost. I need to, you know, that's their whole drive. So any hobbies or anything, you know what I can liken it to? You know, like a young girl where a mother tries her best to like get her into like performing arts, get her to do, you know, and she's got this superstar potential, and then she just starts hanging around with these like kids who are just bunning, just start drinking, hanging around in the estate. And so she's not following her dreams now because she wants to be riding around with these people. It's the same thing. And they create this mirage, like it's like this facade that their life has improved so much. And some of them even end up like losing their jobs, you know, failing university because they're putting so much into the cult, and they see it as like persecution. So now all of a sudden the lecturer's not easy, you know, the lecturer's ACEs, the lecturers, you know, what they teach you in this setting is for the accountability to be on everyone but them. There used to be some of us who used to do our pastor's wife's work, yeah, for university, and her lecturer just had it in for her, and she was not letting her pass the course, and you know, she was just talking about a lot of things, just doing up a lot of things. And I know it's because the lecturer knew that sometimes she weren't writing that, man. Do you know what I mean? Like, you write completely different on like an average day, and then when we're rushing to get it all in, we're all doing like different things. Do you know what I mean? You do absolutely. Do you know, with these pastors, I talk about the things that they do for you, but there are people like actually writing pastors' CVs, helping them to get jobs, helping them with their uni work, doing their uni work. Like, people just get absolutely exploited. I've done pastors' kids' uni work before. So do you see that a mind like mine, where I'm really academic and like I can do these things and whatever, they're just using it. They were just siphoning all my energy like for themselves to make their lives better. Oh, if there's a problem, let's call Leah. Like they haven't sorted out my deliveries. Oh, call Leah. Leah, do that thing where you get compensation. Like, do that thing where they'll give you a voucher, or, you know, oh, like I had to do some friggin' coursework on pharmaceuticals. Guys, I don't know anything about pharmaceuticals. When I'm reading this pastor's kids' work, I'm saying to them, do you understand the topic? Because I've read it. I know nothing about pharmaceuticals, and I can tell that you don't understand this, chair. So I've had to look at it, look at the topic, look at the module, and just from that, I've just had to go off the back of that and try and add things in here and there where I could. That's what I had to do. And a lot of these like pastors' kids, they're neurospicy, man. And they've just like, because they have no support, like mental health, like being neurospicy, whatever, it's just demonized in there. So they've really struggled. Like, a lot of the pastors' kids will struggle with like, you know, university. It takes them a lot longer to pass courses because they've just had such unstable, dysfunctional upbringings. It's so dysfunctional. Like these pastors will have their kids have their kids dragged out till 2 a.m. in the morning. They got school the next day. The kids are exhausted. The kids are like groomed to be adults, you know, from like children. So that's why when they get older and they start to get a bit of their freedom, that's why they can just go totally off the rails. Just totally off the rails. And they're doing up. Did I say thanks for the follow on TikTok? They just end up doing stuff that, you know, like my big 38-year-old self, these pastors' kids have done the most by the time they're 25. You know, them ones. And it's not their fault because their mum and dad have just been WICKED, and they've seen their mum and dad have absolutely no accountability. Sometimes the man's putting hands on the mum, just disrespecting the mum, just treating the mum like nothing. Sometimes it can be the mums that are cantankerous. It's just so dysfunctional. But there's always a power dynamic in these marriages because when you've got the cult involved, there's like ranking and levels and stuff. So the worst type of woman to get in the church cult is a woman that's at a higher level than her husband. It's the worst type of woman you'll ever get because she just doesn't know when to. It goes two ways. She either doesn't know when to switch it off, so she can't help herself but be controlling and be a manager in the home. And they don't do it through shouting. They do it through manipulation and seduction. But not even through sleeping with them. They're just very good with their words. Like when they say things, that's what I'm talking about, because these men ain't blowing out their backs. It's like what Cece does. You know, like they figure out how to live with these misogynists and to wiggle their way in, to manipulate them, to get them to do what they want. So say like they make the man think that he's come up with that idea, and they make the man feel like he's a man when they're running things like Nia Cerise. It's a textbook. It's just a reverse psychological tactic. When you know about the power of a man, that's what you use as a woman. It's just manipulation. And that's why I'm saying you don't need to be the most beautiful woman to do it. Because look at Cece. She's unfortunate looking, but she uses psychology well, like dark psychology. So she gets what she wants. That's all. For a woman to get what she wants, she just needs to know how to do up dark psychology. That's what I'm saying. So I don't know why they're coming on and judging me and calling me a Jezebel and calling me a witch. Your pastors are worse than me, chair. At least I'm honest. At least, like, you know, these men, especially the men I date, they know what it is. Do you know what I mean? And they're not broke, so they're fine. They're absolutely fine with the arrangements that we have. It's not like the broke guys. They will never get it. They will never get it. Do you understand what I'm saying? Because they're not wealthy. Do you know what I mean? Like how the top 10 and 5% of this world live. Like it's not something that you understand. You've not been exposed to that world. Do you know what I mean? So you won't get it. So that's why all of those men in their little backdoor, you know, like cheap sets, you know, doing this toxic masculinity thing. It's just ridiculous. It's just giving, you know, like little boy in his mum's council flat. You know, it's just giving that. Like, you know, these guys that are the toxic masculine guys, they're the type of guys whose mum was getting their backs blown out, you know, like in the house, and they would be in there and hairing it, and then they're sitting in there, they're angry, they're finging the wall, they're so angry because it's like, you know, their mum is just that, and so young, you know, their manly instincts wanted to cut, so they can't control themselves, and then they grow up to HATE women because they blame it on their mum. A lot of them, that's been the story, that's been the case. Yeah. So they're just confused little boys, do you know what I mean, with a plethora of mother wounds, yeah, or father wounds, and that's all it is. And guys, I think I'm going to end here because I've got to start getting ready for the school run. But you might get me on a live on the school run. You never know. I might be back on later, but if I'm not, guys, I will be back on. I've got a lot going on mental health wise today, so I'm glad I came on because I think it's kept me. You don't understand what this does for me. It really helps me to just keep my mind right. But if I do feel like I need to come on, guys, I will just come on because it does help me. It gives me a good distraction. And that's what they don't understand. Like, this is like a lifeline for me, like getting to come on here and speak my truth and just my thoughts, because my thoughts I just have so many thoughts all the time, and being able to come and get this out, you know, as an outlet, and for people to hear my truth after everything I've been through and not feel like everything I've been through has been a waste and it's been in vain, because it hasn't been in vain. And I've got to remind myself how much of the impact that this has made, and you know how many people are deconstructing and deprogramming, and you know it's reached a lot more people, and I've made more impact than I ever thought I would have been able to. So you know, God has surprised me. God has a way of doing that, and that's why when they have all of these targets, and God just doesn't work like that. God just doesn't work like that with all these targets and numbers. And when did you see Christ saying, okay, in order for me to go on Mount Zion and do some healings today, we need to make sure there's 1,000 people here. 1,000 people. Disciples, I need you to go about and knock on every single door and force and compel them to come and get me to preach. It doesn't sound like Christ, because it's not like Christ. This is a business, and this is about money, power, and ego. And on that note, I'm gonna go. TikTok, I love y'all. You're gonna be the first to go. I'll probably be back on later. We'll see. All right. Thank you so much for listening and for your gifts. YouTube, I'm gonna go as well. Thank you so much for you know, being on, for listening. I really do appreciate y'all on YouTube. So I will see you soon. Instagram.